Fine. So there's nobody waiting. We are recording, right?
You're all set to go, Dick. Yep. I'm just going to make you host and then you're all set.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody while we're waiting for the recording to come up. I don't see Lily. She usually comes and I don't.
Oh, she's coming now.
Okay. There she is.
Okay, Carol's calling me. Hi, Carol. Yes, it's on now. We're waiting for you.
Okay, I guess we will wait.
Oh, are you on to the link that Lily sent? Okay, go to the one that, okay.
From the town website. I really don't believe, Lily, you're at that beach.
I'm not. Actually, at Easter Island. So it was pretty nice, I have to say.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that last week and I thought it was for real and that you had an amazing big window, but the sun just never set on it last time. So
yeah, I do have an amazing big window to look at into this. But maybe Dick does, actually. You have a great sunset view, Dick.
My grandkids were here and they took time-lapse photographs that lasted the day. The tide comes in, the tide rolls out, the sun sets. Just did a whole time-lapse. They were having a lot of fun with our cell phones.
Right.
So Suzanne, what did Carol say?
Okay, I think she went originally to the link that you had sent out and it said the meeting hadn't started. So oh yeah, she's on.
Hello, Carol, can you hear us?
She's on mute.
But I'm not, so the question is, oh yeah, okay, good. Let's call the meeting to order. It's 7:05, and so we had an agenda which I will put up. Oh, I've disabled screen sharing, hold on.
You're good now, Dick, you're the host.
Okay. Oh, well, I just got a message. You just changed me this minute? Okay. Okay, let's do it this way. Okay, so I have the first item on our agenda is to review the rules for remote participation.
Hey, Dick, I'm sorry. Can you make me the host quick?
Okay. Let me see, where is that? Oh, I have to go to participants.
Just go. Okay, you know what? Okay, thank you. Continue.
So we have the rules for remote participation. One is that we need to call the roll on all votes. And either I will call your name or you have to announce your name. It's easier if I call your name if I just use what the screen says and read it out in order of the screen as it appears on my computer. They're all different sections. Also, this does need to be posted properly, and you can't make any mistakes in the posting. GB is coming too, so now we have all seven members.
Dick, I have a question about the posting.
Yes.
The thing that's on the town meeting website, in the body of the announcement, the date is correct, but the title of the posting is August 17th.
Because we're repeating that meeting.
No, it's not the 17th. It's something, it was last Thursday, like the 20-something.
I don't know. I just asked that they repost the same meeting, so I don't know.
Well, the title of the posting is incorrect.
Okay.
So maybe Courtney could figure out if that is enough of a problem that this isn't going to work.
Well, it was listed under the correct date. So you must be the agenda that was wrong, right?
No, it's the name of the posting.
Okay.
The title of the posting.
Well, let's assume for now it'll work because we all got here. So, and it was posted on the meeting, even if there was an error in the posting. Okay, it is being recorded. That was my mistake the last time.
Dick, I want to make absolutely certain that this meeting is a legal meeting because, as we know, the reason why we're meeting now is because the last time we met, it was considered to be an illegal meeting because the link was not.
But the link is valid this time. We didn't change it.
That's correct. I just went to the website. You know,
the link is posted on the town site.
Right. However, Carol is correct. And the link is correct. However, when you click on the little icon that says today's date, it does say the agenda, and it does say the date of the meeting is Thursday, August. It says it was submitted on August 25th, and it says the date was Thursday, August 27th at 7 p.m. So then underneath it, it does say the committee, and then it says Monday, August 31st at 7 p.m. So I wanted to get an idea from Courtney first before we proceed.
Yeah, I'm looking at the page of for the committee on the town website, and under agendas, the first one is ECAC agenda, August 27th, 2020.
And Carol's right.
So I don't want to waste time doing another meeting if we have to do it again.
Yeah, because
we won't do it again. Believe me.
Well,
we'll have our normal meeting. There have been typos in the past on agendas. Many times you may have noted we've had a May meeting and it says March meeting because who remembers to change all the dates when I resubmit the same agenda? It's never stopped us before.
Well, it says in, wait a minute, let me get myself on here. It says, up in the upper left, submitted August 25th, 1 p.m., date Thursday, August 27th, 7 p.m. But then in the heading, it says Monday, August 31st, 7 p.m. And in the first sentence, it says held Monday, August 31st at 7 p.m.
So,
I guess Courtney is no longer with us.
Right.
But we do have one member of the select board with us. I don't know, Ryan, if you could help us out at all to make sure that we're having a legal meeting. Because I honestly do not know.
No, I can't really help. I don't want to give you the wrong information. So.
Do you have any suggestions as to what we might do, whether to be safe we should?
If somebody could call Courtney, that would probably be the best course of action.
Dick, do you have her number? to call her?
Let me see. Well, just call town hall and it's, let's see, it was town hall. The only thing I had was town hall and an extension. Let me see if I can find anything else. I called a cell phone that they supplied, but it rang at town hall.
All right. Well, her cell phone is 774-392-1457.
Someone, if you want to call her?
You want to, Dick?
No, I don't want to. I want to proceed with the meeting while we're doing
Can
it.
I verify the number and I'll call 774-352-1457? Is that correct?
774-392-1457.
Okay. I'll call her. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
And I'll mute myself for the moment.
Okay. So let me share my screen again now that I found that. So this is what it says on the town website. The meeting is August 31st. The first sentence says it's August 31st. This is the town website by which we go, right? What, now tell me what we did that was wrong.
Well, the upper deck, it's the upper left, or yeah, right up there. See, it says submitted August 25th, date Thursday, August 27th, 7 p.m.
Yeah, but that, who knows what date that represents? It's not the date of the meeting.
Right.
Probably the date it was posted.
Well,
Who knows what that means? It says the meeting is on the 31st.
Right,
And it says
right.
it twice in a row. So my feeling is this is perfectly okay. There's nothing confusing about this. These dates have nothing to do with the date of the meeting that it says. It doesn't say it's the date of the meeting.
No.
Okay? It says the meeting date is August 31st. So in my opinion, we're perfectly okay. So let's go back to our agenda. Okay, posting. Well, we certainly had enough of posting as far as I'm concerned. Recording, we are recording these meetings. I should mention that, but by law, they are supposed to be, the audio at least is supposed to be recorded and posted as part of holding a remote meeting. More to the point, we have to worry about discussing a topic via email, avoiding serial discussions. Serial discussions means A tells B and B talks about it with C. C goes back to A, and pretty soon you've had a meeting via email that wasn't public. So what we do is one person is typically responsible for some item, and you can call that person and that person can call you, but that person is not supposed to share opinions or create a serial discussion. For example, Suzanne is responsible for a press release, and Suzanne can talk to somebody, and there can even be a subcommittee, Suzanne and Carol, and they can talk to each other, but that's not a quorum. Okay, so we have delegated responsibility to Suzanne for press releases. And if we have a meeting, she'll show them to us, but otherwise she will just submit them. Okay, that's my understanding. Does anyone have any questions about that?
I have a question. Do we not need to have an attendance roll call?
Yes, you're
an
right.
attendance roll call
No,
at the beginning.
I don't know. We need to have a roll call on votes.
Okay, I just want to check.
I don't know. That's a very good question. I don't think we know the answer to that. No, but sometimes the Cape Cod Commission does, the Cape Light Compact doesn't. They both have lawyers on staff, so I don't think it's
Actually, the Assembly of Delegates does.
Yeah, they have lawyers on staff too.
Can I just report
Yes.
that I called Courtney and didn't get an answer? I got a recording. I left a message.
Yeah. But it's okay. It's okay. We looked at it ourselves, and there's nothing about this that says the date of the meeting is anything other than the 31st. That's just the date.
Yes, when you look under agenda on the town meeting, it says the first date is
This
August
is the town
27th.
meeting website, Carol. It's up. This is what the town meeting website says. It says it was submitted on one date, posted on another, and the meeting's on a third date.
If you look under agendas, it's got the wrong date.
I am posting.
Well, we don't know that.
This is the agenda from the town meeting. I brought it up.
Okay.
So just checking some of the other meetings, that is the date that it was posted on.
Yeah.
So that's fine. It's that right? Is it?
Yeah, we're looking at the 31st on the town calendar. I click on that, and it says we're having a virtual meeting on the 27th. And these dates do not say they're the date of the meeting. It's the date it was posted. So I don't believe we have any issues. And this is the agenda from the town website, but I prefer to use mine because I have notes on it, more items to discuss. So delegating.
Dick, you cannot add items that are not on the agenda.
Yeah, you have to. Okay, so this is Courtney. So Carol, I just got your message. It should be okay, but you know, I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. But this committee needs to be a little bit better about making sure things are sent to us appropriately, and I'll be double checking them and triple checking them.
Yes, but
and Brian is right.
All it says is it was submitted on this date, and then you have date. You should say posted date. So
the date submitted though is not something that I control. Submitted.
No, the word date, not the next line. That's the confusion. That's the posted date.
Okay, but it's connected to the appropriate agenda posting on the calendar.
Right.
So I will fix that, but you should be okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And as like Ryan said, you cannot talk about items that are not posted on your agenda.
This is all posted on the agenda. This is
on the website? Or on your agenda?
You have an agenda item on.
Isn't it the same agenda items? I mean, the one that's on the town website comes from.
I'm sorry. I came in late and just heard Ryan say that. So I was just clarifying to make sure that you are aware. I don't know what your discussion is, but if you're talking about something that is not listed under one of these agenda items, you cannot discuss it.
Right, it is.
Thank you.
The stuff in gray is the agenda item, and I added for my purposes talking points under that item.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, so that I remember to talk about them.
Okay, that's fine.
In the meeting we didn't have, I forgot to talk about them. Okay, so I prefer to keep this up so I can read it. Okay, so delegating documents for publication we've talked about. That's perfectly okay. Now the next item on our agenda is review and possible approval of meetings of previous minutes. So are there any comments about any of the meetings that Lily sent to everybody? There were 3 meetings, Lily?
That's correct.
Okay. Does anyone have any comments on them? Do I have a motion?
I move to accept the 3 minutes.
Okay, is there a second?
I second.
Okay, let's have a roll call vote. I see I'm on the top of my list, so I vote yes. Lily?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Suzanne?
Yes.
Suzanne, I didn't quite get that.
Yes.
Okay, GB?
Just want to confirm, I'm an alternate. Is it okay for me to vote?
I think you make the 7th, but vote anyway. And if you
Okay, I vote yes.
Okay, and David?
Yes.
Right, Robert Shapiro's not here, so you're filling in for Robert.
So just to be clear, it's hard on Zoom to tell who seconded that. Was it Suzanne that seconded it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And finally, Chuck, do you vote in favor?
Yes.
Okay, David, did you vote yes?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so the roll is called in order in which you appear on my Zoom screen, for better or for worse. Okay, so the minutes passed. The minutes were approved. The next item is still, we will skip over because Kathy is not interested in helping us out with that. So now let's talk about the possible town meeting presentation and positions on Article 17, which says in summary, asking the town to raise $50,000 for funds. And Suzanne, could you please address this for the committee, since I know we have to repeat it, but why we're proposing it and so on.
Okay, so many of the grants that we are going after, the government grants, require some percentage of matching funds from the town. So we're requesting $50,000 for fiscal, Carol, help me, is it fiscal 22?
We're requesting 21 for 22, presumably.
Yes.
Although we actually have a grant now that we could use the money for.
I was going to bring that up tonight. I guess I can announce it now, even though it pertains to the grant section. But we have heard from the Green Communities grant, and Wellfleet was awarded $137,000 of the 100.
Do we?
Yeah, we do. I think so. So we had asked for 100.
Are you sure? We have never had matched Green Community grants in the past.
Okay, so I'm not sure of the details, and I'm waiting to hear back from Margaret Song because she's negotiating this with the grant manager. But the preliminary news that I heard about that is that one of the items that is being awarded grant money is the COA heating system. And it's, let's see, it's about $9,700. And the grantor is going to likely require that the town pay about 4,500 of that amount. Okay. So a little.
If the town doesn't vote that, then we lose just that $9,000.
I guess so, unless there's some other way to get that money from the town.
But it doesn't affect other parts of the grant. Like we don't lose the whole grant if we can't come up with $4,000. Is that correct?
I don't think we've asked that question. It's a good question.
Did I just phase out?
You did.
Okay, let me start again. So when I present at town meeting about this article, I was going to use this as a perfect example of why we need a fund, a town money like that set aside for grants. This is exactly it.
Suzanne, to Dick's question, do we know that we would not sacrifice the whole grant if we can't come up with the 5,000?
Well, we might have to, but I asked Margaret, and if so, we can, if we are granted that 50,000, we can use money from that to go towards that one item, the water heater.
Okay. And if it doesn't,
So we may or may
and
not
if it
have
fails a town meeting, the question is, do we lose the whole grant?
that. You mean all of the grant, or just
Yes.
for that one?
All
Not
of
all.
the grant.
No,
Not
we
just
won't.
that line item, all the grant.
No, it might, if we can't come up with money for that particular item, then I guess, I'm assuming from the way it sounds, that we lose that item. The rest of it is being funded. It has nothing to do with the rest of those. It's an itemized, there's 4 projects within this larger grant project, and they're each considered separate in their own price amount, cost. So the rest of them are going through. There's no issue.
Okay.
I think it's really important for us to get that in writing. Will you follow up on that, please?
Okay, I will have to have Margaret really lay that out. Right. She only gave me very sparse details on it because she was waiting to hear back. So I'll prompt her again and let her know that we want to bring this before the town.
Suzanne, when we submitted the grant, was it our proposal that we would pay half, or did they just say you can get it if you pay half?
They said it once it was submitted. They made that decision.
Okay, because in general, we haven't in the past said that we haven't proposed it, and we certainly didn't propose anything like that without the committee voting on it, without the select board voting on it, because committing funds is our select board authority. So we wouldn't make any proposal that said we're going to put up money unless the administrator and the select board all were well aware of it in advance.
Of course.
And by the way, that applies to the thing we're putting together for town meeting, that we should have we should give the town assurances that any grant where we're committing funds is going to be with the full approval of the administrator and the select board in advance, right? We're not going to spend any of that money unless they want to.
Right, yes.
And they'll put in Hillary. Hillary, the town administrator, and the select board all are in the approval cycle for any grant where we're going to spend any money.
Yes. And that had, I think that's how this proposal went through. And, I have to talk to Margaret Song about it more. I don't know if this was unexpected, if she wasn't expecting this either, but she hadn't heard about this until the actual grant was rewarded.
But we're talking about, maybe I'm skipping ahead in terms of Article 17, but in terms of the presentation for Article 17, I would recommend you put that all money, all attempts to apply for grants that require matching funds will be approved by Hillary, by the town administrator, and by the select board, right?
Okay, I'll definitely put that in.
We're not going to do this on our own.
No.
Okay. As part of the sales pitch for getting this, we don't.
Could I ask why Hillary is in the loop? I don't particularly object.
Well, if it's appropriate, because most of the grants were in her bailiwick. This one isn't, so she shouldn't be there for this. But for the other ones, which had to do with climate adaptation, she was actually the town lead on all of those grants.
Right, but there might be as much justification, say, to get approval from the DMV. No, the
DPW? Yes,
DPW.
sure.
Thank you.
So you can say DP, you can say either Hillary
The
or the appropriate department.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point, Carol.
Yeah.
The department
Because
head.
the DPW. The DPW is very aware. Yeah. Jay Norton. Mm-hmm. In fact, he's very aware of this development. Right. He's been in on this this time around, but I'll certainly include that language. I'll put that in
when we're presenting it to the town. That's
right. Yeah.
Okay, so we have an article, and it's our article, but I would like to put into the warrant, communicate with Danny that we approve, that we have a position on this. So can we have a vote as to whether or not we approve this article?
I'd like to make a motion.
Recommend, yeah. Recommend the article.
We recommend the article. So I'm making a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second, Carol.
Okay, so Lily moved it and Carol seconded it. This is a roll call vote. I vote aye. Lily?
Aye.
Carol?
Aye.
Suzanne?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Gore, GB?
Aye.
Chuck?
Aye.
Okay. You're just, the roll is called in the order you appear on my screen. Don't take it personally. I don't know if they're all the same.
And you have to call Gord GB, rather.
I did.
Oh, you did?
GB, did I call you?
You did indeed.
Okay. And he did indeed say aye. Good.
I did indeed.
Okay, now, Suzanne, since we're talking about Article 25, you were to work on the presentation. Do you want to share that?
Sure. Let me pull
Article
that
17.
Up.
Article 17, rather. So let's look at it and comment on it. It's due tomorrow.
Did we receive this?
What?
What? Have we received this information through an email? Because I haven't received it.
No, I don't think we did. What we said
yes, it was an attachment to a message that was about the Cape Cod Commission.
Oh, I didn't receive that.
Well, maybe when it's, in any event, we're going to review it now. So there's an overview format for people who don't like to read the details. One that says we support it. Now,
excuse me, Dick, you're on 25.
That was the last vote, but of course this time we supported it 7-1, so that has to change.
Wait a minute, what's going on here? Oh, wait, this is the wrong.
You're on 25 again, and you said you wanted to discuss 17.
Yeah, no, that's my fault. Wait. Stop share. Somehow.
Go to the other window.
Oh, God. This is.
Would you like me to put up my
I just have to find my. Yeah, if you can do that. Some of mine didn't come up.
Okay, I'll put my copy of it up.
Unless this would work.
This is my copy of what you sent.
This is my copy.
I'm not sure if it's totally current, but it would be an overview.
It should be.
So
okay, there it goes.
Put here that we supported it 7-0, right? So let's make a note to add that. Again, this is just, Suzanne's responsible for submitting this. So we're just giving her our comments on it. So we're requesting it. Okay, are there any comments about this part, the overview, or if not, I'll scroll down for the details a bit.
I had an edit that I've looked at this already, but didn't notice. Under details, the 5th paragraph, I think that should say matching and not matched funds.
Yeah, I'm going to put that in. I got your email about that.
Okay. Okay, now, Suzanne, the limit is 2 sides of 1 sheet.
And it's 2 pages.
That's 2 pages total. So
okay.
One of the things you need to do is boil this down. You notice that I put the overview, which should include our vote, by the way. Same comment, right? The Energy Committee recommends this 7-0.
Okay.
In the overview?
I'll look at yours to see how you do.
Okay, so for people who just want to read the overview, that's enough, plus our recommendation. And then try to put the details on a single sheet. Because we're limited to a single sheet. A single piece of paper, both sides.
Suzanne, can you resend that to us? Because again, I'm just looking. I do not get it.
Yeah, I'll send that out.
Could you go to page 2 and just stop so we can take a quick look at it?
Sorry.
If it's due tomorrow, we need to iron out whatever we need to iron out. Dick, I have a question about page 1, the summary. If we're putting the Energy Committee support, do we need to also put the other committees that voted?
No, this is our submission.
Okay.
It's being submitted by us for this piece.
Okay, I just have a question about the single page 2-sided. Since this is only 2 pages, I believe, yes. Can I just print it out front to back?
You don't need to print it. The town will print it.
Okay.
But they gave us ground rules, 1 sheet of paper.
Okay, so it's already set up for that, no? If it's only 2.
But you have to add a couple of things, is what Dick is saying. It can't go over 2 pages.
Got it.
Only 2 pages, or is it 3?
It's 2.
Right now, it's only 2. But
I'm
sorry,
I'll have... I lost track.
Okay. But I get it. If it goes to page 3, I'm going to have to cut down.
Well, somewhere. The one line that says the Energy recommends this 7-0 won't make it go over 2 pages.
I don't think so.
But we also wanted to add language that that things would be approved by the select board and the relevant.
Well, that language should go there, but also it should go in. Suzanne, you're going to have to talk to this motion at town meeting.
Right. Yeah.
So that's a point. Any of the points that you want to make.
Do you not want that language in this 2-page document?
Okay, so that's a good question. As I said before, I would like to bring up the Green Communities Grant Award as a very good reason of why we need matching funding. I wasn't going to include that in here. I was just going to make that an extra. I don't know. Is that legit?
Yeah, it's perfectly okay. You're not bound by this handout for what you say at town meeting. Yes, I thought you were going to just address it verbally and when you talk to it. Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
But the recommendation, I think, ought to be in the handout. That we recommend at 7-0.
What about the
committee recommends? Yeah.
Getting advanced support from the select board and the relevant town departments?
Right, that's another.
They've already done that. They've already done that.
No. You remember no, Dick, you wanted me to include that language in this, so I have to add that too. But I'll play around. I'll do word counts and all that. You know, I'll make sure everything fits on 2 pages. I'll work with that, and then I'll send it out to everybody.
Right, but you have plenty of room because you can always take that long list and close the spacing down.
But given that it's due tomorrow, people have to look at it immediately.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It is due tomorrow. Courtney said earlier before the close of business, but don't push it. Try to get
I don't want
early afternoon.
Yes.
Okay? I don't need to look at it. I trust you implicitly.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay, let's see, where were we? So that's the end of this. Now, the next item on the agenda is Article 25, okay, which was the proposal. And does anyone want to talk to that? We did, in our non-meeting, we voted 6-0, but we have to repeat the discussion, apparently.
Yes.
So the discussion was, frankly, that climate change is real. It's happening. Let me see.
Yeah, Dick, can I speak?
Sure.
Okay, so as you know, as everyone in this committee knows, I've worked really hard on various measures to combat climate change on many different levels for many years. However, I have an objection to this article, and I do believe that it should be indefinitely postponed. And the reason, I know you heard it last time, but the reason is that we saw that the bylaw committee voted 2-0 to not recommend the article. So at one meeting, I was asked to go talk with them, and I did call Dawn Rickman, who was our town clerk for over 20 years. She made the recommendation that it be indefinitely postponed because the article is asking for a bylaw change, and she said that is illegal to do. This is not a legal article, and therefore it should be not discussed at this town meeting. And the reason I feel very strongly that we don't take any action is we were not asked to take any action in the first place. There's no place where we've been asked to take a vote on this. And secondly, that this is a town meeting during a pandemic, and I don't think that people would appreciate having the meeting prolonged when we know that this is an illegal article. People, I believe, don't want to be sitting in that space close to people any longer than they need to be. And so therefore, even though the concepts of the article may be important, it's not the vehicle or the format to do it. So that's why I recommend we take no action on this article.
Okay. Carol, do you have an opinion?
I was one of the 6 that voted for this article.
Okay. Suzanne?
I support the article being brought forward to the town.
Yeah, I support it as well.
This isn't a roll call. Do you have anything you want to say about it?
I think it's such a fundamental issue to me that regardless of how it goes, and given that we have town meetings once a year, I think it's beneficial to put these statements in front of the town, just period, just because they're important statements. That's sort of, I know there may be the legality issue, but this is, If we had town meetings every month, it would be different. We could say, oh, we'll do it next month. But it seems to me if the town, the participants in the town meeting hear this and see this, regardless of how they vote, that's a good
GB?
Nothing to add.
Okay. I'd like to say that I hear Lily's statement that it's potentially illegal. We don't know because the Attorney General has not ruled on it, and it may be inconvenient for the niceties of the way the bylaws are laid out, the way the bylaw committee, and that's their concern. But this is a petitioned article intended to give political support to the concept that climate change is real and we need to do something about it now. And yes, it should be brought before town meeting to let people know we think that way. And whether or not it's declared illegal has no effect on the fact that the town, in voting for this article, has indicated their support to do something about climate change. So a vote in favor of this article is literally a vote in favor of indicating our concern about climate change. And if it gets struck down by the Attorney General, we will still have voted in favor of climate change. And if it's not, then it's in there as a statement that we voted in favor of climate change. So that's why I think I would like to support it. But again, does anyone else want to say something? Lily.
Yeah. I have a typo correction, if you please.
Okay.
In the overview, the third bullet, the global warning should be warming.
Oh, yes.
You can't change it. That's the whole thing. This cannot be changed according to Don Ricketts, who was our town clerk for over 20 years. And Don knows, she knows so much. She's always voted on and asked her anything about the smallest item. She knew what the answer was. And yes, indeed, the Attorney General has made a determination on something that's very similar, that the same kinds of concepts.
What was the something that they made the determination? The Brookline law?
You and I disagree on, Dick. It's a Brookline determination.
But I read the opinion, Lily. It's black and white. The opinion rested on the fact
that the same concept, and it was brought up. It was so important that it was actually brought up by outside counsel at a Cape Cod Commission meeting about the same concept, and that was a really important determination as far as the Cape Cod Commission was concerned. So, you sit on the Cape Cod Commission.
I'm not following you. This hasn't come before the Cape Cod Commission while I was there. However, the Brookline opinion, which I read completely, says that the town of Brookline passed an article preventing natural gas hookups for new construction in Brookline. And the Attorney General's opinion said that while she was totally sympathetic, nonetheless, the laws on natural gas are governed by other rules, and this kind of an article, the Brookline bylaw, would conflict with state law governing natural gas distribution. Had nothing to do with anything except who has supremacy in natural gas distribution. This is a generic policy. And it's totally in accordance with state laws.
No, it's not.
So maybe it will be overruled, or maybe it's inconvenient, or maybe it's not clean in terms of keeping the bylaws clean. But so what? It's not going to be overruled because it conflicts with state law based on the Brookline decision.
Oh, yes, it will. And we're wasting people's time. We have other vehicles that we can communicate with the public about these concepts. And the town is already doing a lot about climate change. We are not neophytes in this town, and the townspeople are very highly educated and they want to do something about climate change. So I think this is a wrong.
Okay. So let's take the roll call vote again, unless somebody wants to say something.
Second, don't you?
Okay, this time, Suzanne, you are on top of my screen. What's your vote?
In favor.
Okay, I'm second. I'm in favor. Lily?
Dick, don't you need a motion in a second?
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. I thought we had one. Okay, is there a motion is there a motion to indicate our support, is it, for this article? Recommendation. A motion to recommend, a motion to recommend this article. I'll make it. Or
I recommend that we vote in support of this article for town meeting.
Second.
Now, let me phrase that. I move that we recommend this article to town meeting.
I move that we recommend Article 25 for town meeting.
Thank you.
Second.
Second. David, yes. David seconded. Now, Carol, you're at the top of my screen. Oh, no, Suzanne replaced you. Suzanne, do you vote favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'm next. Aye. Dick Elkin, aye. David?
Aye.
Lily? No. Carol?
Aye.
GB?
Aye.
Okay, so the article is recommended 6-1.
Chuck is here.
I'm back.
Excuse me?
You will add
I'm
that
back.
to the overview or the summary?
It's already there.
Oh, you see it is, sorry.
Okay, I don't know if I showed you the details of what I proposed to write. Last time we voted to give me the action to write the position. And frankly, it relies heavily on what I've learned. Turns out that net zero is the state, net zero by 2050 is the current law.
Right.
And Governor Baker on April 22nd issued a finding. The Global Warming Solutions Act said that we should achieve 85% of 1990 levels by 2050 or better. And on April 22nd, Governor Baker said, we're doing better, it will be zero. And then in accordance with that law, he also said that by the end of this year, we will have a recommendation for a target for 2030 and 2040. The law actually says we have a target for 2030, and in 2030, we have a target for 2040. But he committed to recommending targets for 2030 and 2040 by the end of this year. So those will be state law, which means we have 10 years to hit what will probably be a 50% of 1990 levels. We already are supposed to be at 25% below 1990 levels, and we probably met that. As a state, mostly through the fleet average going up, that is, cars get better mileage, the electricity is greener, and we've done a lot of conservation and reducing energy usage. Those three things. So we are on target. The first 25% is the easiest, but I think we'll probably make 50% also, because electrification is going much faster, and I think all electric cars will probably come into vogue, and by the end of this decade, almost all new cars will be electric. That's just my opinion. By the way, this thing has been held up in court already. The language is plain and it is the law. So putting that in.
This to us, Can you, I haven't received this via email. Can you send this to us so that we
I
all?
will. Yes, I will.
Really, everybody got a message called forward CMate planning updates that includes this and the other motion.
I didn't get it, Carol. I looked at my emails and I did not get it.
August 25th, you're on the list.
Yeah, well, I didn't get it. It didn't come.
I will send it out again, so no problem.
Thank you.
Okay. And it makes the distinctions that we have talked about in the past between zero energy usage and zero energy emissions. Again, this came up and we're supporting this because of the specific example of the high school. Without a policy that says that we have to consider greenhouse gas emissions in everything we do, things like the high school will slip through because there's no way that a modest, and I really mean modest, expense of using ground source heat pumps instead of a furnace with natural gas would have gotten through if this were a major consideration. You know, the school committee has never studied this issue. They instead figured out what it would cost to do net zero energy usage, going from a LEED's bronze to a LEED's silver to LEED's gold to LEED's platinum to LEED's net zero, all of which gets very expensive in insulation. But we're not asking for that. All we're saying is don't use greenhouse gases when you heat it, put in a ground source heat pump, which is very cost effective in this climate because you dig down 30 or 40 or 50 feet through sand and you get all the cool air you need for free, and the hot air you only have to raise the temperature from 57 to 72. So it's very expensive to do that with a heat pump. Inexpensive to do it with a heat pump. So I think that's what I'm going to talk to. Not so much that this is pie in the sky, but it's here now. And we should not support in the spring, we should not support the high school unless they seriously look at heat pumps. They haven't done it all. Okay, so that's what my thing will be. I will send it out again. We've now, and so the last time I was delegated to write this, but I presume I still have the sense of the committee that I will write this and I'll send it out.
Yep.
Okay. New regional high school. Okay. I started talking about that a little bit. Also a community outreach program. Well, I haven't not yet found grant opportunities for heat pumps. I am working on it. I got some notes, but I'm still working. But a heat pump is not that expensive. When you're talking about $130 million, changing over from one kind of heat to another costs very little, maybe 100,000. It's nothing like the 6 million for the full insulation. Okay, but we'll see. They have to come up with the numbers themselves.
Dick?
Yeah, David, do you want to talk to the community outreach programs?
No, I'm a little confused because there are the second and third bullet under discussion of New Nauset Regional High School are indented.
You're right, my mistake.
So I couldn't tell what that meant.
It was my mistake in indenting.
Yeah, okay.
Should be out a level.
Okay. So this is the community outreach program, How to Keep Energized, is the way I interpret that. There's also the thing later about cooperating with other towns, is the discussion we had about the presentation document that we talked about at a few meetings. and I sent out another version of it a little while ago. And the idea was to get the word out more broadly and reinforce it with the 4 or 5 outer Cape towns, using that presentation as community outreach to raise the visibility of the issue of net zero activities of various sorts, which we've kind of just been talking about as well. So it fits in perfectly. But the thing that I'm a little stuck on and I want to talk about is I could see this going forward 2 different ways. And one way is before we have any public meetings, we get each of the towns that we're targeting, 4 or 5 towns, we get each town to approve something. I don't know if it makes a lot of sense that each town committee approve the entire PowerPoint presentation down to the details. But the point being that one idea is to first get the town committees, energy committees, then the select board, and then go to the public. Okay, so one of my, and I became concerned about that approach because committee work usually happens every month, and time, you know, ticks by. And it occurred to me that we might want to consider simply having a broad-based community outreach educational program to highlight the issue of addressing climate change. And we invite all the energy committees, we invite the select board members individually. So these aren't official meetings, they're simply people that we invite and this Zoom presentation about net zero activities. So, and it doesn't mean at the very same time try to get some kind of document. It's not going to make no sense to me to have it be a 25-page, like a document that we ask the select board to, each select board to vote on, and maybe before that, the same document is voted on by the energy committees. And that's crucial to get that kind of official town support. But the PowerPoint and the community education is different in my mind. It's the same topic, but it's community education. And so I would submit that we just, Bob Higgins Steel and Furrow volunteered to set it up. We just set up a Zoom meeting. We invite a whole bunch of people, everybody's network, everybody, all the energy committees, all the select board, whatever, whoever you want to invite. It's a public meeting. It doesn't have to be a committee quorum issue or anything like that. It's just people can come and attend this if they choose to. So I'd like to hear what people think about that.
Well, if you're asking other committees and select boards to officially approve anything, that anything shouldn't be more than 5 bullets on a single PowerPoint.
Right. No, that's my point. My point is there's two things here. One is community education, and the other is a document that has to be, I agree totally, a single page that we can ask the committee and the select board to approve. But it's not clear to me that we have to do it in any particular order. I'm just in the interest of the urgency of this issue, I would prefer if we agree to just hold a community educational forum, essentially. And then in addition, or in parallel, I don't care, have this short 1-page document that we submit to the committees and the select boards.
Okay. I have to tell you that the Cape Cod Commission is also trying to hold community forum meetings for stakeholders for their climate action plan.
Right.
And
no, I'm aware of that, yeah.
The question is, how many simultaneous stakeholders meetings can we have? You know, there's so many groups trying to get people to give inputs, probably the same people.
Do you know if the Cape Cod, I know the Cape Cod Commission is doing that. Are they presenting, are they having a forum in the fall in the Outer Cape, do you know?
I have no idea when they are, but I think it could be close. If you say the whole fall, probably yes.
Yeah, they have to. Remember, they have to get something formalized by January 16th.
Right. I guess I don't have that in front of me. I can't find it.
And also, David, I believe you're going to run into open meeting law violations if you do that. I mean, if you're having a meeting and you're inviting the committees, let's say, and there's a quorum, I mean, that actually has to be posted and it has to be noticed. And
it has to be posted for every town where you have a quorum of any committee.
Yeah, so you
even if we, okay, can you stop for a second? Let's just stop for a second. I got it. Let me ask you a question. So if we send out an invitation, if I send it out, I don't care, an invitation goes out to hundreds of people all over the Outer Cape. And by chance, let's say, we happen to get a quorum of people from the Truro Energy Committee. Then it changes everything. Is that right?
Yes. Especially if it's on a topic inside the jurisdiction.
Especially if you want to have them vote on something.
Yeah, I was talking, what I was trying to do is separate that. I do want the vote. I'm talking about trying to do a broader based educational program in addition to or connected to, but different from a vote. A vote is a vote. I get that. I know it has to work, but there's a lot to be done to get people motivated. We need dozens and dozens of volunteers to begin to do this work. And it was my hope that we could use this presentation, broadly put. I get the open meeting law. Maybe it's impossible to do, fine. But my idea was to get a conversation going, to get the word out, to try to motivate people and inspire them to put up their hand and volunteer to be part of climate action work, to be partners to energy committees, and to really get this thing moving. Because if we're gonna make this really work on sufficient scale, we're gonna need more people. Now that was my reason. Now, if you're telling me legally we can't do any of it, fine, I wasted my time making that presentation.
You can't, but we know you can give presentations. We've given presentations for Outer Cape Energize all the time.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right. So we know you can do that. That's distinct from official actions.
But I'm not saying it's an official action. Why can't we just have a presentation?
You can.
But David, if you want to have the committees, the whole committees, and at these meetings or at this presentation, I do believe that's a violation of open meeting law. I mean, the format of Outer Cape Energize was a different format. We had a subcommittee, and then the subcommittee went out and advertised to the public. But it was after there was a consensus within the committee about what the goals and objectives were. I mean, to me, that makes sense. And also what Dick said is the commission is working in the same parallel direction. So, and they're working very quickly, I understand, because they have to. They have a short timeline. So I think there are some issues that need to be worked out here. So there's not a violation of open meeting law.
Okay, so if we want to defer to the Cape Cod Commission to take over climate action planning and not do, this wasn't to be, the focus in my mind wasn't planning, it was action. We know some stuff we need to do. If we want to not do that, and we want to defer to the commission to do some great climate action plan, that's one thing. Secondly, if by chance we happen to get a quorum of a committee attending an open community meeting, then that triggers open meeting law. Then there's no point in inviting anybody, or else we point not to invite the committee members.
So David, the Cape Cod Commission is soliciting stakeholders to participate in their climate action plan. And I was going to say that we should, as a committee, volunteer to be one of the stakeholder groups.
No, I understand that, Dick, and I'm in favor of doing that. I'm actually part of this Cape-wide Climate Action Network, and we've already put in a proposal to the commission to be one of the stakeholder groups in their process.
Right. So I think our committee should be a stakeholder group.
I do
think
too.
We should get the other town committees to be stakeholders.
I agree with you, but I'm just trying to figure out, are we going to just, in my mind, it's a just. It's not as active as I personally would like. Are we going to go the route of participating in the Cape Cod Commission Climate Action Plan, period? Or are we going to push forward on things like more solar panels now, more air source heat pumps, electric vehicles, kind of the stuff that we did without a franchise, but do it more substantially, get to businesses, bring in other parts of the Cape. There's this effort to create a 15-town climate action network. And personally, I'm not that interested in, I'd be part of it, but I'm not interested in spending a year or more doing a climate action plan through the commission. And we know most of what we need to do now.
I absolutely agree with you, David. We know what we need to do now, and we should do it. Literally, we should do it, and then tell them, you see, we were doing what you told us to do.
That's kind of my point. I'd like to act on all this. There's a sense of urgency that I'm feeling, and I wish there was a way that we could somehow, if maybe I just have to put out an email as a private citizen and ignore all the town committees and invite whoever wants to come to the presentation. I don't know.
No, I think you really need the aegis of the town committees to be supporters of it. It doesn't, without that stamp of approval, it's just another group.
No,
but I think we should start doing it now.
I don't see how we can make it work if we can't have this broader presentation. If we have to go each committee and each select board, and then have
could you talk a little closer to the mic? I think I am sympathetic that you want to do something now, and we should. And now that we know we want to do something now, the easiest way is to actually get it all written down and get people to agree they support it as if it was theirs.
Right.
All right. But go ahead and do it. Let's go ahead and do it. Let's go write the detailed plans. It was that PowerPoint, I have to say, on a PowerPoint, you don't write a paragraph and 5 paragraphs on a PowerPoint. They're bullets. But if you want to write a white paper, we will do this in this order. And when you don't know the details, farm it out to someone else to supply the details, and then get the committees to say, yeah, we're behind it, but get it organized, get other people to work on it. In other words, just do it. It's not gated by the committees. They'll sign on after it looks feasible.
The idea was, I hear you, Dick. The idea was, and I feel like I spent a mammoth amount of time going down the wrong road for some of you anyway. The idea was to not present a specific plan right away, but to spend some time getting some information out about climate change and net zero, try to get some people engaged who want to work on it, and get some community input. I know the Cape Cod Commission is doing that too.
Okay, so there are 3 things. You need to get people to work on it, right?
Right.
And that can mostly be done one-on-one till you get a nucleus of 4 or 5. Then at meetings, you can get more help. But a plan, you have to put the plan down on paper And I think a lot of people are knowledgeable about climate change by now. They're just waiting for somebody else to do something. I don't know. What's your recommendation, David? What would you like us to do?
I told you what I'd like to do. I would like to get the word out broadly to a lot of people about the net zero issue. I think we in this committee are in a little bit of an echo chamber, like a lot of things today. And I do not think that a lot of people are thinking about climate change and are knowledgeable about net zero and the two different types of net zero. I don't think they are. And so
Okay.
what I would like to do is have a broadly advertised meeting to kind of get some energy going about climate change. That's the basic idea.
Okay, I guess I'll support that. How about anyone else? Suzanne, what do you think?
I definitely support it. I don't have a clear picture in my head of what this might look like.
Okay, Lily, what do you think?
I support the concept. I just think that, and I'd be glad to talk with you, David, over, to work with you, so that we're able to clear a path so that we're not, violating open meeting law, and we come up with something that really actually makes sense and is something that achieves the goals that I think we all are talking about. But I'd like to see it more concretely fleshed out so that we have a path and we're not violating open meeting law. But I do think it's attainable. I mean, we've done 2 rounds of the solar ice. So, I think it is achievable, attainable.
Okay, Carol? You're muted.
I must admit I'm confused about the open meeting law and whether that really should stand in the way of what David is proposing. I admire his efforts and would like to help, but I don't have anything useful beyond that.
Okay, so we will make sure that there's no open meeting law violation when we do this. Holding a meeting doesn't violate the open meeting law.
That was my assumption.
Right. So now, GB, I missed you.
Hey, I look at it as let's give it a try and see what happens. And
okay.
we're either going to get some positive response and that will help develop a path to move forward, or we'll find out that maybe that's not the way to get people excited about things. But at least, it'll move things forward and we'll get some answers.
Okay. Ryan, do you want to say anything about this?
Oh, Ryan.
We usually invite everyone.
No, I'm just gonna be quiet.
Okay.
Chuck hasn't had a chance.
I agree. I think the presentation should be made, and then if there is, eventually the committees in each town will have a consensus. We'll get response from those committees, but that wouldn't happen at the presentation. I think David's presentation is a good first step.
Okay. So I guess we're generally supportive. I don't think it takes a formal motion because you've got the committee said we're all willing to work with you and let's go forward with it. Okay. It's not a formal committee action per se, just encouragement. Okay, so.
And this would be, just to be clear, this would be, and I want to really appreciate Bob Higgins, Steele, and Truro for volunteering. This would be his baby to set up the logistics, the the time, the date, the location, the Zoom capacity, not the location, the Zoom capacity. So he's trying to do that. You got that initial email probably, everybody. And so I just want to be clear that this would be a multi-town effort.
Okay, so in general, thinking is, we used to have meetings and we make presentations. You have to think a little bit about what format looks like in a Zoom environment.
Right.
And I don't have an answer to that, but we're going to need a kind of a mental attitude change. Maybe more videos, and I don't know. It's a different world in how we present things in this remote environment. That's just my words of wisdom. Okay, with that, let's go to the next item.
If that's Dick, wait a minute. So if you're doing this and you're moving forward with the presentation, we really should be noticing it on the with the town as an energy committee meeting. If there's no, I mean, I will make a commitment to log on, you know, as secretary, and you know, and write up minutes if there's a forum. So
when we have a definitive plan for holding a public meeting, we'd be happy to list it on the town website as a meeting, and we'll sponsor it when we have a plan. Right now, you're still in the planning stage, right, of deciding what you want to present?
Well, I suppose we could, from my perspective, it's been worked on for a good long time already, and we had 2 rounds of comments and discussions, and everybody's final comments were supposed to be done twice, and I incorporated some, not all, and I sent out a week ago or so, a quote final version.
So you have a PowerPoint presentation, and that's great for a stand-up. I just think you need to think of what a Zoom is. A Zoom meeting would be, but whatever it is, schedule it. And I think that
I'll do some learning about that, Dick. I don't have an answer either, but if there's a way that I should entirely redo the thing for Zoom, I'll try to find out about it.
No, I'm not saying that. Just think about what it will come across as.
I hear you.
Instead of presentations, maybe on videos, maybe who's going to say, it's not one person standing up. It's got to be different people talking about different things. You're producing a program.
Right.
Zoom.
I think
You're not getting a PowerPoint.
I think the idea is that the information, the facts, the details have been collected. Now it's a matter of how do you best package that for the type of environment it's going to be presented in so it has the best impact.
Right. Someone who knows about being a video producer.
Yeah, it's going to be like a webinar. So if there's any online tutorials on how to run a good webinar, that might be a good.
Right. And we can be optimistic and assume that 6 towns will support it, so we'll post it on 6 town websites. So make the open meeting law happy.
Does anybody know a Zoom or a webinar expert who could take the work done so far and come up with a plan to how to transform it? I don't, and I'm not going to become one. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, we'll have to think about it. It's got to be someone we know's kids.
Yeah, probably.
Right? Like.
What about Sky Fry's Cole? Does she do that kind of stuff?
No, she's still live presentations, World Cafe. I'd say John Marcy's daughter, but she's too busy in the White House. You know, someone's kid who knows how to do video. We need some consultation on. Otherwise, you can just put them up and talk to them, but I don't think it'll be as effective. But you should talk it over with a smaller group to see what's the best presentation format.
You know, I did want to bring up one point about the presentation. I know we had an extensive conversation about one aspect of it. You know, David's talked about, you know, his original presentation had net zero, and Dick, you brought up that it should be net zero greenhouse gas emissions. And I know we had a long conversation with a lot of feedback in it, and it still says net zero. Although I thought that the outcome of that was that the presentation title was going to be changed to net zero greenhouse gas emissions. You know, it would be good if there was just a resolution of that.
Yeah, but we'll work that out. It's a long time before the presentation.
I mean, unless you, you're okay with it being net zero as opposed to net zero greenhouse gas emissions, because that
there is an issue with that. There's a conceptual issue or a policy issue, whatever. There is for the high school. You know, I get it. I'm with the net zero emissions, but for the world in general, we need both things to happen. We can't just talk about net zero emissions. I did put a change slide, Lily, in the beginning of the presentation defining net zero emissions. But at the end of the day, if we're going to go out to people and say, we think you should insulate your home better and you should buy an electric car and all these things, we can't only be talking about emissions. It's not going to work. It's not sufficient. We can make progress faster if people have great insulation, et cetera, et cetera.
I think I agree with David.
okay.
When you're in the initial stages, the easiest way to reduce greenhouse gases is by conservation measures.
Right.
When you get to 2040 to 2050, that's not enough.
Right.
Okay.
And I'm just saying it needs to be both.
Yeah.
I agree. I just thought there was a disagreement and that there was a different resolution the last time.
Well, when you're dealing with a building that will last 50 years, you have a different answer than if you're putting up an addition. You know, in a house, you really ought to think about it because you hope it'll last 50 years. A new house, not an add-on or an addition. Our Out of Cape Energize mostly focused on renovations rather than complete new houses.
Right.
So it's a different, you know, it depends on what stage you're in, and it isn't totally thought out. I agree, but it's a good point, Lily. So I guess we're going forward with this, our support, and the next step is to get people and presentation together, right?
Well, yeah, and maybe we can all think about it, and I will myself, but I have no idea how to proceed. I don't know anybody. I don't know how to make this be.
Well, maybe that's who you should start recruiting. What do we do in the age of COVID when everything's going to be a video? It's not going to be you know, you're in a group, you put up a slide and there's interaction with questions, because that's the paradigm that doesn't work anymore.
I don't actually know. We have a slide up showing our agenda. That works perfectly fine in this case.
Yeah, we've had one slide up for 45 minutes or an hour, and all we've done is talk.
No,
it's interactive. It's not a presentation where you have 100 people in the audience and there's one piece of transmission. It's different with a group of 7 people and a group of 100 because we're all participating.
But maybe
this just keeps us on topic.
Maybe it's a good starting point, though.
Yeah, but I mean, the group dynamics is a little different, David, with 7 people or 8 people as it is with 100 people in an audience.
I understand that.
Yeah. Okay. That's all I'm saying. Nothing much has changed with the school. Are we done with this?
Yeah, we're done.
Okay. Nothing much has changed with the school, but I am keeping the pressure on them. I sent them more information about the governor's proclamation on April 22nd under the Global Warming Solutions Act. Harry Turkanian has always been pushing me, where's the law that says we have to do this? Where's the law that says we have to do this? Well, I finally found the law, and I found the court decision that said you really have to do it. Okay, so I sent him both the court decision and the law. Again,
Is Harry on the committee?
yes, he is. He's the
committee?
Wellfleet representative to the building committee. So that's where we stand. But, you know, it really is the law, as I've discovered, this action on the 22nd. It would have been nice if they announced the 2030 goals as part of that press release, but there was some pushback on the 2030 goals. In terms of, I read the comments, all 100 letters. The pushback was mostly on the form of, why are we doing 50% when we should be doing 66%? And don't include bio waste because it's not net zero for real. It only pretends to be. And a few people didn't like nuclear, which you can understand why.
Are you still there, Dick?
Dick Rose. So number 8 on the agenda is request for future agenda topics of the committee until he gets back. Maybe we should just move on. Last time there were none. Are there any this time? Okay. And I think we
before you guys go on anymore, you have to make sure that Dick is still recording.
Oh, that's a really good point, Ryan. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, do we need to call him on his cell phone?
Yeah.
He might try to get back on because it looks like he disconnected.
Yeah, I bet he knows he's got to get back on.
Yeah.
Suzanne, you and I are listed as hosts.
Oh, okay. Well, in my little picture box or window box, it says recording, I believe. Does that mean anything in terms of?
You're right. It does in mine too.
Yeah.
Huh.
Mine says recording. Up next to, yeah. Up.
So we don't have a quorum right now.
We actually do.
One, two, three, four, 5,
6.
Well, I'm showing 7 people on my screen, including myself.
We do have a quorum.
Okay, we do have a quorum, and I just spoke with Dick. His computer crashed. He's logging back on. And so I'm just going to go over the items. It does say it's recording, and I'm just going to go over the items. There was no information the last time we were meeting. So again, if there's any requests for future agenda topics from the committee. Okay, then I'm going to go on to it was the status of the PV array on the landfill, and there were no updates at the last meeting on that either.
I think I missed the last meeting, Lily, but I wanted to just make sure that what I know about it was passed on, which is nothing much, but I had several email exchanges with Mike DeVasto about this, and he is very interested in it. He was going to follow up with the town council to see if we could move it along faster, and I haven't heard anything back other than that.
That's great. I'm glad to hear that. That's really good news. Ryan, I know that you have an interest in moving that along too. Is there any new news from you?
I brought it up with a new town administrator. She said that she would look into it. I don't really know much beyond that right now.
Okay.
Well, that's a start, Ryan. Thank you.
We really appreciate your support, Ryan, on that. We all look forward to the day when that can move forward. Thank you. Dick, do you have any further information about the TV project on the town landfill?
No, I don't. Nothing much has happened. There's been some work about some of the other paperwork getting signed, but nothing that's that significant.
Okay. You said at one point that any determination by the courts was already made and all it needed was signatures and stamps. Is that correct?
I didn't follow that. Could you say it again?
You had made a statement at one of the meetings that you thought that all of the work in the court setting was determined, and we just needed signatures and stamps.
Court settings.
The court.
Court. That's my understanding, but I don't know. I mean, they do something. I don't have any insight. Really, the town council should weigh in on what it really takes.
Right. Okay.
Hope this doesn't go south again.
Okay. And I think we already talked about the joint possible actions with Truro and Orleans Energy Committee. We already went over that. Last time there was no information on the review of implications of new pending state legislation. Is there anything else that you have, Dick?
There isn't, but what I've learned is that those bills are nice to have, but the current legislation does everything that we care about in this regard. That is, they were going to supply targets for 2030 and 2040. The target for 2020 and 2050 was in the original act. The original act also says the governor should supply a target for 2030 and another one for 2040 in 2030. And
froze again.
We lost him. We lost you, Dick, if you can hear it. There he is.
Yeah.
Dick, you're intermittent. If you can hear me, you're intermittent. We're not getting a full motion video.
Yeah, you froze. So I know that Suzanne gave us an overview last time of the review of the grant proposal status.
Yeah. So, and I announced a bit of it earlier in that the Green Communities grant has been awarded, and I had mentioned earlier about the match fund that's going to be required, and we discussed all that, so I don't think we need to go over that. I did want to add that the new town administrator, Maria Broadbent, asked that our committee, and I guess that'll be me, take care of announcing to the media, letting them know about this, so I can put together a media announcement and send it out to the committee for review.
Thank you very much.
And select board as well.
Could I also make a brief report about the sea bin, which I brought up at the last real meeting? I've been in touch with the assistant harbor master. I guess the harbor master has retired. And he asked what happens at low tide to the sea bin. And I checked on the criteria, and in fact, it doesn't function at low tide. It is supposed to stay in open water all the time. So there's a possibility that it might work for Wellfleet after the harbor is dredged, but it does not work for Wellfleet under current conditions.
Thank you for following up on that. That sounded like a really interesting concept, and I hope you'll hang on to it and be part of the committee. And
we'll keep it in mind.
Yeah.
Suzanne, it looks like you're host. Could you enable screen sharing for all participants?
Oh, okay. Let's see.
And I'll put the agenda back up.
Okay, so screen sharing.
It's under security, I suspect.
Oh, okay. Wait, let's see. Under security. Okay. Enable waiting room, rename, no. Screen share, allow participants to screen share.
Right.
Okay. Did that work?
Yes, it did.
Great.
Let me put the agenda back up in the meantime.
Yeah, so Dick, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so we went over requests for future agenda topics, which were none. We've done the possible actions with other joint committees. Suzanne and Carol gave us an update on the grant proposal. And
could you talk a little closer to your computer screen?
Yeah. The last time we were talking, there was no information. Committee liaisons.
Yeah, I'd like to say that on the liaison part, there was a call that came out about a week ago for committees to participate in the Cape Cod Commission Climate Action Plan. They want stakeholders. So I think I would like to volunteer this committee as a whole to be a stakeholder, because certainly their motivation to start doing greenhouse gas inventories came from Robert Shapiro. That's how they got into that business. And I think we have an interest. They want nonprofits. So that means that we would be a stakeholder, and those of us who would like to go to those stakeholder meetings can do so. I think about 3 or 4 of us went last year, right? There was Chuck and Carol. Were you there at one of them?
I was to one of them.
Yes, Lily, you were. There was somebody else from our committee too. Was it you, Carol, or was it Suzanne? Or
yeah, Dick, would you like a motion?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that the Wellfleet Climate Action, Energy and Climate Action Committee become a stakeholder of the Cape Cod Commission Climate Action Plan.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
Okay, that was David?
Yep.
Okay,
I'll second.
I'll do a roll. Yes, Carol?
I'll second, Carol.
I think
Carol, Carol, do you want to say something?
She was just seconding, but David already
okay.
seconded.
Let me take a roll call vote. Dick Elkin, yes. Lily?
Yes.
Carol? Carol, do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, GB?
Aye.
Suzanne?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Chuck?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. GB, I guess you have to repeat what you said about the consolidation effort for town meter.
I'll make it quick. I was able to get a current month's consolidated bill from Chatham, and I've looked through it. I've got some questions about it, but that's not going to be a problem. I will be forwarding that to the appropriate folks in Wellfleet sometime this week.
Okay. You also have a login for the that program that Bob had set up, right? That you know,
I have a login to the MEI program.
MEI. Does the MEI supply information that town departments might need?
I do not know yet.
Well, keep an open mind as you talk to the town, the DPW and so on, as to whether or not if the bill doesn't have it, the MEI program might.
Okay.
Okay, because we can always get them logins to the MEI program if they need information.
Right. I think most of it is more of a financial area. They just want to make sure that the readings they have are correct and make sense, and the bill corresponds to that.
What does MEI mean for the minutes?
Mass Energy Insight.
Oh, right. Okay.
Okay. And remember, our goal in consolidating these bills is that when we get the credits under the Smart T program, we apply them to the consolidated bill, thereby relieving the town of all the effort.
Right. I'm sure they're going to be follow-up questions on that, but we'll take them up as they happen.
Okay. So
a summary of the global covenants and mayor status and actions.
Bob isn't here, so we can't get that. Except to write that GB and I went around to all the meetings and read them as of July 1st, right, which is the start of the fiscal year, we thought. In any event, if we need to go around and read them all again, we will at a more convenient time. But we gave that information to Margaret Song, and so we're set for a while. That's needed because we have to make sure we file a report under the Green Communities Act so that we're eligible for grants. We don't lose out the way the town did 2 years ago when the report wasn't filed. Okay, so that's it. Is there any requests for future topics? Any old business anyone wants to bring up? New business.
I have something. I have a announcement and a question. So the announcement is that the op-ed that was written for the banner that had the energy and climate action committees from Truro and Provincetown and ourselves will open the banner tomorrow. It'll be published. And my question is, Dick, what happened with the WCAI interview with you? Is that going to be aired?
I haven't heard back from the reporter yet, so I should take an action to give her a call. Eva somebody. So I don't know. She talked to me. She said she was going to talk to the building committee and then she would call me back. She never did. So I don't know what's happening. I will find out. Hopefully I'll report on it after if I find out it's going to be on the air before it's on the air, I'll send everybody an email. Any other new business?
Is the next meeting on September 21st at 7 p.m.?
Is that what everyone wants?
That's what we agreed upon last time.
Okay. Does anyone have any second thoughts? Okay. September 21st it is. Anything else? Going once, going twice. Thank you all for putting up with this again.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay,
Second.
who made that motion?
Me, Lily.
Lily Ann
Second.
Green made a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second by
I think
Second
that's
by
GB
GB.
made a second.
We have to vote on it.
The roll call is David, you're up on top on my screen now.
Yes.
Okay, Suzanne,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Chuck.
Yes.
Okay, let me see, let me scroll. I vote yes. Lily?
Yes.
Okay, GB.
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Good night, all.
Good night.
It may be Suzanne, you may need to end the meeting. I think you're currently the host.
Okay, I will do that.
If you
Good night.
could leave